different sorts of opinions are there regarding the nature of Indian Constitution. The maximum weightage carrying opinion was for the Constitution of India to be the federal one. And in support of it being the federal one, we can quote the emphasis put upon by the different authentic sources. More precisely, you can say the draft Constitution Making Committee of India as well as the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Apart from these institutions, some prominent individuals or scholars, they have also given their viewpoints regarding the nature of Indian Constitution being the federal one. For example, Mr. Alexandrovich and D.D. Basu. Anyway, but at the same time, we have also discussed that there are certain global parameters. Okay, and for any constitution to be termed as a federal constitution, it is obligatory for it to follow all such 5 global parameters. And those 5 global parameters, as we discussed yesterday, are distribution of power, that is division of power, supremacy of constitution, written constitution, rigidity of constitution, and finally authority of courts. If all these 5 ingredients are inherent in a constitution, we can say the said constitution is ready to be termed as a federal constitution. And accordingly, we have started making examination or analysis over the Constitution of India, whether the Indian Constitution possesses or contains all such characteristic features or not. Okay. And we discussed about first ingredient, that is D, means out of D, S, W, R and A, we have discussed about D, that is division of power. Here we got to know that division of power means, prevalence of, 2 different political systems, one at central level, other at state level. It can also be termed as prevalence of dual polity. Okay. Here prevalence of dual polity in simplest possible term can be understood in a manner like prevalence of 2 tiers of governments, tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 in a precise term can be referred to as the central government, and tier 2 can be referred to as the state governments. Okay. So there must be a prevalence of 2 tiers of governments, and the governments existed on every tier. They should share coordinating relationship with each other. Here coordinating relationship means none of the governments shall be considered subordinate to other. Okay, they are not the subordinating authorities, rather they are the coordinating authorities. They are the independent authorities. Independent authorities means each government shall be considered independent in its own sphere of activities. Means by no way any state government can carry out any otherwise enforcement upon the power of central government, and similarly the central government too cannot carry out any sort of otherwise enforcement upon the powers to be enjoyed by the state governments. And this is what meant by to share with coordinating relationship. Okay. That is called the concept of division of power, and it is obligatory that Indian Constitution makes a proper space for the existence of the concept of division of power in it. Now, following the line, we are going to have a look upon second prominent aspect for a constitution to be termed as federal constitution, and that is basically the supremacy of constitution. Is it okay? Supremacy of constitution. See, yesterday, as I can remember, that I have made you written a point in the form of note, I mean note format, like note 1, note 2, and alike. And I made you write that those provisions of Indian Constitution, okay, which take part in division of power, they necessarily show the supremacy of the Constitution. But try to follow it in a proper sequence. We are going to discuss the concept of supremacy of Constitution. Supremacy of Constitution. See, here is the government located at tier 1, that is central government, and here is the governments located at tier 2, that is state governments. Okay, central government state government. And we are talking about how to uphold the supremacy of the constitution in general and the supremacy of constitution in Indian context in particular. Okay, here is constitution. See, when it comes to uphold the supremacy of constitution, it can be recognized by a means of, you know, you can say different aspects. First aspect is the constitution would be binding upon the governments existed on both the tiers. Are you getting my point or not? To say constitution is the supreme authority or there exists the supremacy of the constitution, which means that constitution shall be made binding upon the governments existed on both the tiers, namely the central government as well as the state governments. Means whatever the provisions are there under the constitution, none of the governments, means the government existed on any tier, either tier 1 or tier 2, they are not allowed to disobey the provisions of the constitution. Rather, they need to show the conformity with the constitutional provisions. So it is always expected out of the central government to follow the provisions given in the Constitution of India in due course of ensuring the governance and administration for the country. Similarly, it is also expected out of the different state governments that whenever they go on in order to ensure proper administration or governance, they should follow the constitutional provisions. This is the reason why we oftenly say that the constitution is binding upon both the types of government. And it is one of the, implications to show the supremacy of the constitution. Second, the governments existed on both the tiers, namely the central government as well as the state government. They will decide their power, or not decide, they will decipher their power. They will face their power. They will derive their power from the respective provisions of the constitution. For example, see, Part 5 of Indian Constitution is dealt with the provisions related to union. Union means either the union legislature or the executive or the judiciary. Similarly, Part 6 deals with, similar kind of provisions related to state. So, whatever the provisions are there under the constitution targeted to either the central government or the state government shall derive their power from those provisions only. So wherever you need to have an assessment over the extent of the executive powers being enjoyed by state executive authority, you need to have a reference to Part 6 only, not Part 5. Why? Because they are to derive their powers from the respective provisions of the constitution. And this is what meant by supremacy of constitution. And remember, under Indian federal structure or under Indian constitution, see, so many constitutional provisions are there. Out of the different constitutional provisions, those constitutional provisions which directly take part in division of power between the center and states, they are compulsorily being termed as the supreme provisions of the constitution. Supreme provisions of the constitution. For example, see, other provisions of constitution might also be supreme provisions. Might not be the supreme provisions. They might be the supreme provisions, might not be the supreme provisions. But those provisions which take part in division of power, they are at anyhow shall be referred to as the supreme provisions of the constitution. क्या यार, आपके पास किसी के पास तरीका है कि ये व्हाट्सएप मैसेज को रोका जा सके? क्लास के दौरान भी पता नहीं लोग क्या मैसेज करते हैं. See, now I'm going to give you some reference of the provisions of constitution which take part in division of power, and by having a look upon those constitutional provisions, you can easily quote some examples in support of your answer related to how to maintain the supremacy of the constitution, how to show the supremacy of the constitution. Okay, let me repeat it. Supremacy of constitution can be understood in a manner like the constitution would be binding upon the governments. The governments means the central government vis-a-vis the state governments. Second thing, the governments existed on both the level. I mean to say either the central government or the state government. They shall derive their powers from the respective provisions of the constitution. On the basis of these two things, you can easily justify the concept of supremacy of the constitution. One thing more, in order to have a trace upon the constitutional provisions, so that you can demonstrate whether the said provision might be referred to as a provision showing the supremacy of the constitution or not, you are suggested to have a reference of those constitutional provisions which take part in division of power. Which take part in division of power. Division of power means power sharing between center and state. They are necessarily the supreme provisions of the constitution. See, the provisions given in part 3 of the constitution, related to fundamental rights, they also uphold the supremacy of the constitution, though they do not take part in division of power. That's why I said, listen me carefully, that the provisions of constitution which take part in division of power, they are necessarily the supreme provisions. Now, deduct these provisions from the constitution and have a look upon the residual ones or remaining ones. Out of the remaining provisions, some of the provisions might be the supreme provisions, some of the provisions might not be the supreme provisions. So here, whatever the example I have given you just now regarding fundamental rights, they are basically those residual provisions which, though do not take part in division of power, yet they are considered as the provisions to uphold the supremacy of the constitution, the provisions to demonstrate the supremacy of the constitution. Okay, fine. So here we are going to be stick with those provisions only which take part in division of power. Why? Because they are those provisions which are at anyhow to be termed as supreme provisions. See, in example format, I'm going to give you first example. The provisions of Indian Constitution given under Article 54 and 55. Given under Article 54 and 55. See, Article 54 and 55, they are meant for election to the office of the President of India. Okay. And see, whenever you try to find out the collegium constituted for presidential election, you will always find that the collegium of the presidential election is comprised of the elected representatives of both the houses of the Union Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. Apart from that, under the same collegium, you will also find the legislatures of legislative assemblies across the country, provided no nominated members should be there. Means all the elected representatives of all the legislative assemblies of 28 states, because nowadays there are altogether how many states? 28 states. Plus the elected representatives of two UTs, namely Delhi and Puducherry. This is what the collegium of the president when it comes to election for the office of the President of India, right? See, what shall be the collegium of presidential election? Such system has been enumerated via means of Article 54. Okay, Article 55 makes us know about how the counting would be done, means how the counting of presidential election would be done, means what is meant by single transferable voting system, what is meant by proportional representation, etc., etc. How single transferable voting system as well as proportional representation are to be employed in presidential election. They are given under Article 55. So let us consider that the Parliament of India has decided to drop a particular state or drop the legislatures of a particular state that they won't take part in election to the office of the President of India, it can never be happened. It can never be happened. Parliament of India cannot do so. Why? The provisions related to Article 54 and 55, they directly take part in division of power between the center and states, and they simply display what? The supremacy of the Constitution. And whenever such provisions are to be amended, in due course of carrying out amendment over such provision, the joint act from both the side, namely the center and state, are to be required. Means none of the central authority cannot carry out any otherwise amendment over such provisions by its own. Whenever any alteration is to be carried out, any amendment is to be ensured, it is obligatory that the states must also be taken into confidence. Okay, this is what the beauty of but the provisions of Indian Constitution taking part in division of power. Why? Because they uphold the supremacy of the Constitution. So remember, the provisions given under Article 54 and 55, which are related with election to the office of the President of India, they show the supremacy of the Constitution. Supremacy of the Constitution. Second one, the provisions of Indian Constitution which are given under Article 73 and 162. 73 and 162. See, Article 73 makes us know about the fact that what is the extent of the executive powers being enjoyed by the central authority. And at the same time, it is Article 162 which makes us know that what is the extent of the executive powers being enjoyed by the state authorities. Means, suppose here is the central government. What would be, the domain of what would be the periphery of the executive power of the center? It has been properly mentioned via means of Article 73. And similarly, Article 162 makes the reference of the extent of executive power being enjoyed by the state authority. So again, the provisions of Indian Constitution on the name of Article 73 and 162, they show the supremacy of the Constitution. Why? Because they take part in division of power. As I told you for many times, I think 3 to 4 times, that those provisions of Indian Constitution which take part in division of power, they must be known to be the supreme provisions of the Constitution. They must be showing the supremacy of the Constitution. And since the provisions of Indian Constitution in the form of Article 73 and 162, don't you think they take part in division of power? Article 73 makes us know about what is the extent of executive powers being enjoyed by the central government, what is the extent of administrative powers being enjoyed by the central government. Similarly, 162 tells us that what is the extent of executive powers being enjoyed by the state government. Is it okay? Yes. Now, let's have a look upon third point. Let me omit it. Chapter 4 of Part 5 of Indian Constitution. Chapter 4 of Part 5 of Indian Constitution. See, Chapter 4 explains that there is a Supreme Court of India whose jurisdiction shall be disseminated on pan-India basis. Okay. Means Chapter 4 of Part 5 of Indian Constitution makes the provision for the existence of Supreme Court of India, and the jurisdiction of Supreme Court of India would be spreaded upon the entire country. Okay. disseminated across the entire country, right? And see, neither the Parliament of India nor any state legislature can make a provision regarding how to cut short the jurisdiction of Supreme Court. No, the jurisdiction of Supreme Court cannot be cut short. Rather, it shall be disseminated throughout the country. Don't you think it shows the supremacy of the Constitution? It shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Next one. Chapter 5 of Part 6 of Indian Constitution. Chapter 5 of Part 6 of Indian Constitution. What is there under Chapter 5 of Part 6? It makes the provision for the high courts for different state or states. Okay. High court for states. Means each and every states are eligible to enjoy the jurisdiction of their respective high courts. Means no authority can deny a particular state from enjoying the jurisdiction of high courts. Why? Because this is the mandate of Constitution of India, and that mandate cannot be altered either by the central authority or by any state authority. So don't you think this provision simply shows or demonstrates the supremacy of the Constitution? Article 241. Even UTs should be allowed to enjoy the jurisdiction of high courts. Means UTs, that is union territories, are also made eligible by the Constitution of India to enjoy the jurisdiction of high courts. Again, it shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Chapter 1 of Part 11 of Indian Constitution. Chapter 1 of Part 11 of Indian Constitution. It makes the provision for the division of legislative powers between the center and states. Division of legislative powers between the center and states. Again, it shows the supremacy of Constitution. The provisions given under Schedule 8 of Indian Constitution, which talks about different regional languages or regional pieces of language, rather you can say not languages, regional pieces of language. They are given under Schedule 8. Again, it shows what? It shows the supremacy of the Constitution. One thing more, representation of states. Representation of states under Indian Parliament. Here Indian Parliament means to say either in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. Each and every state has been given representation for Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. And no authority can deprive the states to enjoy such right given by the Constitution of India. So don't you think it also shows the supremacy of the Constitution? Even the provision given under Article 368 of Indian Constitution, Article 368 is meant for how to carry out amendment over the constitutional provision. And it is Article 368 which empowers the Parliament of India to carry out constitutional amendments. It does not empower any state legislature to go on to have an amendment over the constitutional provision. No. So whatever the things we find within the ambit of Article 368, it also shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Now I hope you might have understood what is meant by the concept of supremacy of Constitution. Is it okay to all of you? What is meant by supremacy of the Constitution? Constitution?
Yes, sir.
Now take down, please. Take down, please. I think yesterday we have written about the concept of division of power. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Second, supremacy of Constitution. Supremacy of Constitution can be understood. Supremacy of Constitution can be understood in a manner like the Constitution is binding upon the governments the Constitution is binding upon the governments existed on different tiers. The Constitution is binding upon the governments existed on different tiers. For example, the central government as well as the state governments. Next point in the same topic. The governments shall derive their powers. The government shall derive their powers from the respective provisions of the Constitution. The government shall derive their power from the respective provisions of the Constitution. It is always expected. It is always expected. It is always expected that the governments would not disobey. The governments would not disobey the constitutional provisions. The constitutional provisions in due course of in due course of in due course of running governance and administration, running governance and administration in their respective periphery, in their respective periphery. In their respective periphery. After full stop, please go ahead. It should be noted that it should be noted that it should be noted that the provisions of Indian Constitution, the provisions of Indian Constitution, which takes part, the provisions of Indian Constitution, which take part in division of power between the center and states, in division of power between the center and states. Are the provisions showing the supremacy of the Constitution? Are the provisions showing the supremacy of the Constitution? Other provisions may show the supremacy, may not show the supremacy. Other provisions may show the supremacy, may not show the supremacy. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
For example, take down an example. For example, write down point number 1 as I show you. Point number 1. The provisions of Indian Constitution. The provisions of Indian Constitution related with the provisions of Indian Constitution related with the election to the office of the President of India.
हाँ भैया
The provisions of Indian Constitution related with the election to the office of the President of India. Which have been given under Articles 54 and 55 show the supremacy of the Constitution.
So which had been?
Listen me again. The provisions of Indian Constitution related with the election to the President of India, which have been given under Articles 54 and 55, are called the provisions showing the supremacy of the Constitution. Second point. The provisions of Indian Constitution given under Article 73 and 162, given under Article 73 and 162, which show the extent of the executive powers, being enjoyed by the central authority as well as the state authorities, being enjoyed by the central authority as well as the state authorities, are termed as the provisions showing the supremacy of the Constitution. Are termed as the provisions showing the supremacy of the Constitution. Next point. Chapter 4 of Part 5 of Indian Constitution. Chapter 4 of Part 5 of Indian Constitution related with the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of India. Chapter 4 of Part 5 of Indian Constitution related with the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of India shows the supremacy of the Constitution. You know jurisdiction, what is meant by jurisdiction? Means area of catchment of justice delivery, jurisdiction, something like power. The power of the Supreme Court lies on entire country. It is disseminated throughout the country. Is spreaded over pan-India basis. Anyway, next point. Is it okay now? Yes. Chapter 5 of Part 6 of Indian Constitution, which makes the provision for the jurisdiction of high courts for the states, shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Next point.
So could you please repeat?
Sir, please repeat.
Yes. Chapter 5 of Part 6 of Indian Constitution. Chapter 5 of Part 6 of Indian Constitution, which makes the provision for the jurisdiction of high courts for the states, also shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Means राज्यों को उच्च न्यायालयों के न्यायिक क्षेत्राधिकार का लुत्फ उठाने का अधिकार होगा, यह भी संविधान की सर्वोच्चता को दर्शाता है. समझ रहे मेरी बात?
Yes,
किसी
sir.
भी राज्य को उच्च न्यायालय के न्यायिक क्षेत्राधिकार से लाभान्वित होने से वंचित नहीं किया जा सकता. ओके, नेक्स्ट पॉइंट इज the provision of Indian Constitution, which ensures that even the UTs, that is Union Territories, even the UTs cannot be deprived of enjoying the jurisdiction of high courts. Article 241. You may make the mention of Article 241 somewhere in your notebook. Listen me again. According to the provision of Indian Constitution, which ensures that even the Union Territories cannot be restricted to enjoy the jurisdiction of high courts. Don't you think it simply shows the supremacy of the Constitution? Next point, please. Chapter 1 of Part 11 of Indian Constitution. Chapter 1 of Part 11 of Indian Constitution which makes the provision for the division of legislative powers between the center and states. Which makes the provision for the division of legislative powers between the center and states does also show the supremacy of the Constitution. भारतीय संविधान के भाग 11 का अध्याय क्रमांक 1 जो केंद्र तथा राज्यों के मध्य विधायी शक्तियों के विभाजन की बात करता है, यह भी संविधान की सर्वोच्चता को दर्शाता है. ओके, नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. द रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ स्टेट्स in the Lok Sabha as well as in the Rajya Sabha shows the supremacy of the constitution. The representation of states in the Rajya Sabha as well as in the Lok Sabha shows the supremacy of the constitution. Next point, the provisions of Indian Constitution given under Schedule 8, related to different pieces of local language. The provisions of Indian Constitution given under Schedule 8 of the Constitution shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Listen me again. The provisions which are given under Schedule 8, they show the supremacy of the Constitution. Next point. The provisions of Indian Constitution given under Article 368 related with how to amend the Constitution, shows the supremacy of the Constitution. Is it okay? This is all about the second facet of global parameters, that is supremacy of the Constitution. Till now, we have discussed about the concept of division of power, the concept of supremacy of the Constitution. Okay. Third one is written Constitution, which we will discuss. Fourth one is the rigidity of the Constitution. Again, it will be discussed. And fifth one is the authority of courts, that is Nyayalayi Pradhikarita. They are to be discussed. Okay. So, under the heading, supremacy of Constitution, do you have any doubts? If yes, please ask me. Is there any doubt regarding the supremacy of the Constitution? Because आप देखिए, आपसे सीधे सीधे कमेंट टाइप क्वेश्चन के रूप में पूछा जा सकता है कि supremacy of the Constitution comment, yeah, write a short notes on the concept of supremacy of the Constitution, and don't forget this facet has already been asked in IAS mains examination. IAS में ये सवाल पूछा जा चुका है कि throw light upon the concept of supremacy of the Constitution enshrined under Indian Constitution. भारतीय संविधान में निहित संविधान की सर्वोच्चता की अवधारणा से आपका क्या तात्पर्य है, रोशनी डालें। ये क्वेश्चन पूछा हुआ है। अभी हम लोग जो भी डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, आप ये मान के चलेंगे कि आईएएस मेंस के ये सब के सब शॉर्ट आंसर टाइप क्वेश्चंस हैं, है ना? तो क्या मैं आपसे उम्मीद कर सकता हूं कि सुप्रीमेसी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे लिखना हो तो 100-150 वर्ड्स में आप लिख सकते हैं, 150 वर्ड्स में? यस
Sir, I want to ask that how can we differentiate that which provisions show the supremacy or which provision does not show the supremacy of Constitution?
The simple criteria. One thing, first and foremost thing is those provisions which take part in division of power. They are necessarily the supreme provisions. There should be no doubt over it. Okay. Secondly, those provisions of Indian Constitution which embedded the philosophy of the Constitution. For example, preamble to the Constitution of India. For example, the fundamental rights enshrined in Part 3 of the Constitution. For example, the provisions related to directives, that is, the directive principles of state policy given in Part 4 of the Constitution. They are the supreme provisions because they constitute the philosophical part or philosophical portion of Indian Constitution. So, two things you need to remember always. One is the provisions of Indian Constitution which directly take part in division of power first. Second, those provisions of Indian Constitution which uphold the philosophy of the Constitution, which show the philosophy of the Constitution, means philosophical portion as well as the portion related to division of power. They are the supreme provisions. Okay. One thing more. Those provisions, which invite a complex degree of, a complex mode of procedure when it comes to carry out amendment over that. For example, suppose a particular constitutional provision Y is there, okay, and see, remember, it is the power of the parliament which has been provided by the constitution to go on to carry out amendment over the constitutional provision, right? But in due course of carrying out amendment over the constitutional provision, if the Parliament of India feels a greater degree of complexity, in that situation it should be assumed that the given constitutional provision is a rigid provision. And remember, if it is that much rigid, if it is that much rigid that it invites the joint action of center and state so that it could be amended, then the said provision would be termed as supreme provisions of the constitution. अगेन घुमा फिरा कर बात वही आ जाती है कि जो शक्तियों के विभाजन में भाग लेंगे प्रावधान, वे संविधान की सर्वोच्चता को जाहिर करेंगे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की सुप्रीमेसी को रिफ्लेक्ट करेंगे। तो दो ही डायमेंशन आप याद रखेंगे कि वे सारे प्रोविजंस जो केंद्र राज्य शक्ति विभाजन में भाग लेंगे तथा वे सारे प्रोविजंस जो संविधान के दर्शन को परिलक्षित करेंगे, which though the philosophy of the constitution, they are necessarily the provisions showing the supremacy of the constitution.
Okay, sir.
Anything else? Anything else?
No, sir.
No, sir.
और भी कोई क्वेश्चन है? चलिए एक बार मेरे साथ रिवाइज कर लीजिए। बताओ, इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को किस स्कॉलर ने कहा था कि ये ना तो यूनिटरी है ना ही फेडरल है बल्कि क्वासाई फेडरल है?
प्रोफेसर केसी वेरे।
वेरी नाइस, सुपर। आप किसी एक इंडियन इंडिविजुअल का नाम बताएं मुझे जिसने इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को फेडरल बोला।
प्रोफेसर त्रिपाठी।
He was of the opinion that Indian constitution is unitary. I am asking about federal.
B.R. अम्बेडकर
ने यूनिटरी बोला था।
सर B.R. अम्बेडकर।
हाँ, कह सकते हो B.R. अम्बेडकर। वेरी नाइस, वेरी नाइस। वो तो ड्राफ्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेकिंग कमेटी
Yes, sir.
वही थे। यस, और कोई एग्जांपल?
राजेंद्र प्रसाद।
इनको उतना हम कंसीडर नहीं करते क्योंकि इनको उतना रिकॉग्निशन ही नहीं है। डीडी बासु, यू नो द नेम डीडी बासु?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
यू नीड टू कोट दिस। और फॉरेन राइटर में एलेक्जेंड्रोविच का नाम आप ले सकते हैं, कल मैं बोर्ड वर्क पे कराया था इसको। चलो ये बताओ, किसी भी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को फेडरल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन कहलाने के लिए जो एक ग्लोबल पैरामीटर सेट किया गया है, वैश्विक मानक निर्धारित किए गए हैं, वे कौन कौन से मानक हैं, कौन कौन से पैरामीटर्स हैं?
Division of power, supremacy of constitution, written constitution, rigid constitution, authority of
हाँ,
constitution.
सुपर सुपर सुपर। आपको बस इस पैटर्न को याद रखना है, DSWR एंड DSWR, इससे आपको हमेशा याद रहेगा। मींस उस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में क्या होना चाहिए? डिवीजन ऑफ पावर, सुप्रीमेसी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मस्ट बी रिटन वन। अब जरा सोचो, मैं बोलूं कि सपोज देयर इज अ कंट्री बट दैट कंट्री हैव अ रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, सॉरी अनरिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, can you even imagine for the existence of federal mode of political system in that country?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. है ना? ये जो 5 ग्लोबल पैरामीटर्स है बच्चे, ये हर हाल में होने चाहिए इसको फेडरल बनाने के लिए। हाँ, इसके अलावा आप पढ़ते होंगे बाई कैमरल लेजिस्लेचर, फ्री एंड इंडिपेंडेंट जुडिशियरी वगैरह वगैरह, वो सब हो सकते हैं, बट इन 5 के साथ यू विल मेक नो कॉम्प्रोमाइज, कोई कॉम्प्रोमाइज यहाँ नहीं करेंगे। 5 के 5 ही होंगे ही होंगे। इनमें से अगर एक भी लैग करेगा, इट वुड बी डिफिकल्ट टू मेंटेन अ फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर। कल के लेक्चर में मैं आपको समझाऊंगा कि फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर होता क्या है। अभी तो हम लोग लंप सम जान पाए हैं। फेडरल मतलब जहां डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड मोड ऑफ पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम हो और ये सारे इंग्रेडिएंट्स। यानी चलो DSWR। एक और बात यही समझ लेंगे, यहाँ डिवीजन ऑफ पावर का मतलब ये नहीं हुआ कि सेंटर स्टेट के बीच बिल्कुल वाटर टाइट डिवीजन हो, बराबर बराबर हो, ऐसा नहीं है। अगर हम करें कि डिवीजन में किसी को 99% दे दिया और किसी को 1% दे दिया, तो भी आप इसे डिवीजन कहेंगे ना, बंटवारा तो हुआ ही। वो अलग बात है कि दैट डिवीजन इज अनइवन काइंड ऑफ डिवीजन, नॉट इवन काइंड ऑफ डिवीजन, बट स्टिल दैट इज डिवीजन। तो ये आप नहीं देखेंगे कि सेंटर के पास ज्यादा शक्ति है, राज्यों के पास कम है, काय का डिवीजन नहीं जी, फिर भी डिवीजन है, डिवीजन ये। Division does not always mean that equitable division has been ensured. No, division तो दो तीन तरीके से हो सकता है, बराबर बराबर, कभी इसको ज्यादा इसको कम, कभी इसको ज्यादा इसको कम हो सकता है. ओके, सुप्रीमेसी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, डिटेल, रिजिडिटी, अथॉरिटी, मींस ये जो पांचों पैरामीटर्स हैं, अगर इनकी एक डिग्री भी आपको दिख जाती है किसी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में, तो आप कहेंगे कि हाँ ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक दिए हुए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में है. समझ रहे मेरी बात? जैसे मैंने कहा ना कि सुप्रीमेसी ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि सारे के सारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजन सुप्रीम है. आप बताओ आर्टिकल 3 के अंदर जो प्रोविजन है जिसके आधार पे द पार्लियामेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज बीन एम्पावर्ड टू अल्टर द नेम, एरिया और बाउंड्री ऑफ एनी स्टेट. एंड यू नो हाउ द पार्लियामेंट ऑफ इंडिया कमिट्स सच एक्ट? Simply with the help of ordinary majority, simple majority, even without taking the consent of the state. यहाँ पार्लियामेंट क्या करती है? साधारण बहुमत से, सिंपल मेजॉरिटी से राज्य को अपने संज्ञान में लिए बदलाव ला देती है. अब इसे क्या कहेंगे? क्या आर्टिकल 3 संविधान की सर्वोच्चता दिखाता है? नहीं. संविधान की सर्वोच्चता कौन दिखाएगा? जो सीधे सीधे डिवीजन ऑफ पावर में भाग लेगा, जिसके माध्यम से कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की फिलॉसफी डिमोन्स्ट्रेट की जाएगी. सो इनका चूंकि अब्स्ट्रैक्ट एस्पेक्ट है ना, इनकी मापतौल नहीं हो सकती. इनका थोड़ा सा भी अंश अगर आपको दिख गया तो आप बोलेंगे कि हाँ डिवीजन ऑफ पावर का अंश है इस संविधान में, लिहाजा यह संविधान डिवीजन ऑफ पावर वाली क्राइटेरिया फुलफिल कर रहा है, कोई संदेह नहीं होना चाहिए. इसी तरह से अगर ये पांचों अवयव, जाहिर सी बात है जितना साउंड फॉर्मेट में ये पांचों होंगे, आप समझ लीजिए वहां का फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर उतना ही साउंड होगा. इज इट ओके टू ऑल ऑफ यू? ओके, इट शैल बी कंटिन्यूड. इसी से हम लोग चर्चा को आगे बढ़ाएंगे रिटन से. यहां तक तो बच्चे आपका क्लियर है सारा? कुछ और पूछना है?
सर, sir, will you please tell us the example of confederation federalism? Which country?
I will discuss it in the form of a separate topic. ये बड़ा टॉपिक है, 1-1.5 घंटे लगेगा, इस पे हम लोग बात करेंगे. अभी शॉर्ट में जान के क्या करेंगे? जानिए तो ठीक से जानिए. इसमें हम लोग बात करेंगे यूनियन, फेडरेशन, कॉन्फेडरेशन, इन सब के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर्स क्या है, किस देशों में कौन कौन पाया जाता है, सब पे बात होगी. बट अभी नहीं, हो सकता है 2 लेक्चर के बाद हो. अभी
ओके सर.
ओके देन, बाय बाय, सी यू टुमारो.